Hi, Nikki. Thank you for joining me today to talk about your experience fostering and adopting teenagers. There's a myth that if you adopt a teen, you won't have enough time to make a bond before they approach adulthood and potentially leave the home. Can you share your experience related to this?
Yes, adopting teenagers has its challenges, but I feel they're such fun years to have with your kids. I foster and adopt teenagers, and I have adopted four, three at the age of 15 and one at the age of 16. I have thought if only I would have gotten them sooner, or if only I had them for a longer period of time. But I have heard parents that have had their children since birth that they also feel like if they could only have them for longer, periods of time, if they could be there longer. But it is enough time. It's enough time to instill moral standards, help them to build their self-esteem, because that tends to be a lot of kids struggle with their self-esteem when they come, help them with relationships, communication skills, their self-respect, coping skills. And it teaches them how to have healthy bonds that will help them for the rest of their lives in jobs, family, relationships, getting married one day down the road, or their own children. Um, those few years that you have with them, you can form that bond that it'll be enough and it'll carry them through their adulthood. You don't just have that short amount of time, they go away and you still continue to talk and communicate with children you've had since younger years. You do that as they get older. And bonds do change as you get older with any child. I have a son who um, he's 18 and he is in boot camp right now. And he called and said, can you talk to these people? Because he wants to buy property that is right here, walking distance to my property. He would like to stay here and, come back home and live here. He wants to get a job in the military where he can be close to home.
And can you speak a little bit about what fostering and adopting teens has looked like for your family and how you've met some of the challenges?
Um, yeah. So when I knew I was going to be adopting teenagers, and just fostering in general. We did these trainings, 24-hour trainings, but I did a lot of research on parenting and on children and traumas, because I know pretty much any child that comes in your home has trauma. And I thought, hey, I'm ready for this. But first kid comes in and I'm like, oh my goodness, not prepared, because they come with the traumas. They come with some disabilities. They come with so many hurts. And a lot of times it's hurts from family members that are still there, but they can't see them at that time. So I did a lot of research. I pulled up, whatever they come with, and researched like, hey, maybe we have autism, maybe we have a learning disability, anything that's going on with them, maybe a loss in their life. And I researched, I studied, I did other trainings, read books, and then I tried to put myself in their place and see how they are feeling, what they might be going through, and talking, communication with kids. Not too much, but communication is very important with the kids. Um, as teenagers, they don't come in calling you mom usually right away. I've had one that within 24 hours called me mom. Wasn't sure how I felt about that, how important that is, like, because that's a earned title, but the help with safety and security. Some of them call me mom 6 months or a year later, and I have one that will say, "Hey, mom said this, mom said that," but calls me Nikki. He told me, actually, he said, for this training I was telling him that I was doing, he said, let people know bonds don't happen overnight. And for some, it takes longer. But he was my kid who was like, I'm running away. I'm not staying. I'm leaving as soon as I turn 18. He just told me the other night, well, maybe I'll stay till I'm like 21 years old. So I've had him at this point for 3 years, and he is 17. So each kid is different. And all of this affects them in a different way. So in my home, structure is so important. Keeping calm when the kids, even if they're, on a scale of 1 to 10, they're at a 12. It's keeping calm, keep your tone calm when they say things, know it's coming from a hurt place. Most of the time they will come back and apologize later when you're at your wits and you just want to jump out your first floor window. They will come back and they talk. My son had something happen last night and he went out and he put washer fluid in all my vehicles and said, Mom, I fixed the windows. I'm sorry. So it takes a while to get there. sorry is a very hard thing to say and admitting as a teenager. So rules structure, we have rules posted, very simple, broad rules, but each rule is for each child, but can be handled differently depending on age level, disabilities, and family time. Family time is extremely important. I had to redo my schedule, change my schedule. I had a failing moment as a mom when I got my twins. They're in the backseat of the car. They were with me maybe 2 months. And I realized at 7:30 at night, I'm running around and I didn't give them dinner. I was so upset. So yeah, it's learning that you have to change things. But what we do is dinner every night together at the table. And that is my favorite time of the day when we sit, we laugh, we joke. Everybody loves dinner time. And you see all the different personalities and how everybody's communicating, and you work in that communication at dinner. There's so much why dinner is so important. And then it's movies or devotions, praying together, doing fire pits, taking walks. So many things that you can do to bond as a family, even if it's as simple as laying on the floor, looking up at the ceiling with all your heads together, and we laugh and giggle and it's goofy, or playing and running around in the rain. All those things help to bond and build positive, good memories. We also in here, we talk about the traumas. Now, nobody wants to really talk about traumas for the most part. Some do, but most do not. So we might vaguely do that, but we talk about the disabilities. Own them. We like, that's important. I say just own them here. We laugh, we joke, like, yep, there's a tism moment. It's not an embarrassing thing, and they need to understand, hey, this is what's going on. This is why certain things are happening, or why you feel certain ways, or just letting them understand what it is. So we do go over what the disabilities are, we talk about it, and we make it that, hey, this is not your fault. It's part of you, and that's okay. So all of us have something, and it helps them to continue to bond and grow with knowing and understanding that each is different, and that's okay. And that's what makes the world turn.
Well, thank you so much for giving your time to talk about your experiences, Nikki. Thank you so much.